2.0 class, we learned about a lot of technologies, but the thing that was the most intriguing and interesting to me was Hyperdocs. So I definitely knew I wanted to create Hyperdoc as the lesson for our final project. And I think the best way to demonstrate that is through a video showing you all the things that I incorporated into the Hyperdoc, especially since if I just link the Hyperdoc, which I'm going to do in the project, some of the technology I used within the lesson are district-specific resources that some of you might not be able to access. So I wanted to demonstrate the full thing on a video. So I did a Hyperdoc about plants, and one thing that I learned through this process was in Google Slides, you can embed audio files, which is a game changer for me because I teach students who are 5. I teach kindergarten, and a lot of this technology is hard for me to wrap my brain around because my kids can't read. But going through this process, I learned a lot of cool tips and tricks that I could use so that even my students have access to the things I'm creating. So this is just the cover page or the title slide all about plants, and it shares the objective of the lesson. So to show you how the audio works, they would just click this speaker button. So from here, I'm just going to kind of go through and show you the learning path that the students take through the Hyperdoc. So on the next slide, it's the engage slide. And I just embedded a speaker or an audio file everywhere there is text to be read. So this one just says, hey, you're going to watch this video. So if you click here, they will go and watch Pete Plants a Seed. And then on the explore slide, another audio file describing what they need to do, just clicking through the different resources. So I have a song that I embedded from YouTube about plant parts. There's a read aloud that I embedded from YouTube about plant parts. And then there is BrainPop Junior that takes them to an external website where they can watch a video. And then they can also access Pebble Go, which is another website my district has access to, where students could go get some more information. So just exploring different pieces of information about plant parts. So they would explore, and then on the explain slide, I have linked an interactive science lesson from Science Fusion that they can go through. Now, I realize not all of this is Web 2.0 technology, but obviously I was trying to use Web 2.0 technology, but also the things that I have in my district, because obviously that's real world, right? We're not just going to use Web 2.0 or just use the things that we have access to. We need to find a way of incorporating all of it. So there's that lesson that they would do in Science Fusion. Going back here, the apply slide. So this is where I used Jamboard, Google Jamboard, which is an app in Google. It's an interactive whiteboard. And I created 3 different levels of jams for the students to choose from. So the objective here is for them to label the parts of a plant. So level 1, there's a plant picture or a plant diagram already drawn and a word bank. Level 2, they draw their own plant and label the plant that they drew with the word bank. And then level 3, they create all of it. They create their picture of the plant and they create their word bank as well. And so then in the directions, it tells them once they're done doing their jam. So I'm going to just click on one of these. I forced them to make a copy of it. And of course, it's going to take a minute. So they would do their work, label, and then in Jam, there's these 3 dots. You can't see it on the screen, but there's 3 dots next to the blue share button. And if you click on that, you can save your Jam as an image. So the directions in the Hyperdoc told them to save it as an image. And then on the share slide in the Hyperdoc, they're going to go in and click on a slideshow for the class where they can upload their work. So I just created a slide for each student, and they just would type in their name and upload their jam. Then on the reflect section, I created a flipgrid for them to go to so they could record their reflection. So if you click here, it takes them to flipgrid where they can add a response. So these are just the text directions for what they need to talk about, and then there is a video they can watch that says this same thing. And finally, there's an extension lesson they can go to in Google Docs. And Read, Write, Think is an extension that I have that will read any text to the students. Anyway, so this is the project that they would do that extends them, but that is the rest of my Hyperdoc that I created. But like I said, I felt like I wanted to create a video to show exactly what it did, but I'm going to link this in the project so you can kind of click through as well. But again, be mindful that some of the tech won't work for you because you might not have access to some of the resources. But I really enjoyed making it. It took me a really long time, but I think now that I have the template down, it will be helpful because it's a skeleton of something that I can use and just change resources out. So it was definitely a good way for me to grow and to try something that I hadn't tried before, and I'm really glad that I did.